Is the Sony ZV-1 still a good camera in 2025? Let's take a look at this fun little point and shoot and find out. So the Sony ZV-1 was released in 2020 and it was a little point and shoot compact camera made for vloggers and content creators alike. And now that it's about 5 years old, I think this is still a great camera whether you're shooting photo or video and you're trying to be a creator on a budget. So we're gonna break down the pros and the cons of the Sony ZV-1 and see if this is still a good camera for you today. Let's take a look. Weighing in at just 294 grams, you can see that the ZV-1 is pretty small and compact. What I love about this camera is it fits right in my pocket and it is packed with features. We have a 3.5mm jack to run audio, for instance, an external microphone. We have a hot shoe on top. This also includes a windscreen that I can put in the hot shoe to avoid that nasty wind sound getting into my microphone. We also have a USB port. We can live stream out of this, run a video signal, and we have a micro HDMI port that I can also hook up an external recorder and get a video signal out of the ZV-1. So for vloggers and creators and photographers who want to have a camera with them at all times, the ZV-1 is the perfect creator companion. So what does the ZV-1 cost right now? Currently brand new, the ZV-1 runs about 650 US dollars. I picked mine up used for just a few $100s. They are out there, for example, on Facebook Marketplace, and sometimes you can find a deal on a little cool point and shoot like this if you just keep your eyes open. So let's talk about photo quality on the ZV-1. The ZV-1 has a 1-inch sensor, which is just slightly smaller than an APS-C sensor. It has a 20 megapixel backside illuminated CMOS sensor, and you're probably going to be surprised at the image quality coming out of the ZV-1. And yes, it shoots RAW in addition to JPEG. So pair that quality sensor with this Zeiss Vario sonar lens, which has a 35mm equivalent of a 24-70 and a maximum aperture of f1.8 to 2.8, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised with the image quality that comes out of the ZV-1. I know I was. With that maximum variable aperture, when you are wide open at 24mm, you can have your aperture wide open to f1.8, and as you zoom into the 70mm equivalent, your aperture does close down just a touch to f2.8. However, that will still give you a lot of light in low light situations, and that is great for vloggers who have to deal with pretty much whatever light they are given. Great compact tool with a lot of features. You don't often see f1.8 in such a compact point and shoot camera. It's really going to take your photo and video to the next level. Let's talk about the ZV-1 for vlogging. One of my favorite features on the ZV-1 is this 3-inch articulating screen. I can easily see exactly what I need and frame up my shot whatever side of the lens I'm on, whether I'm photographing a subject in front of me or I need to flip this articulating screen around, and I just want to do a little bit of vlogging. All right, we are trying another quick vlog test. I have focus locked in on my face, so hopefully this focus works well. Just a quick vlog test. Got the river right here, so it is a little noisy with the water. Hopefully the shotgun mic I have mounted on top works, but we have tracking on, and hopefully that works pretty well. Seems to track fairly well. Go over here, yeah. I like it. The face tracking works pretty well. The mic works pretty well, and hopefully you guys aren't hearing a ton of this creek down here. So pretty cool stuff. So back to the video. So additionally, the ZV-1 has real-time autofocus and uses 315 phase detect autofocus points to make sure that you or your subject is in focus at all times. It also has face priority auto exposure, so as a creator, if you're vlogging, you can focus on the storytelling instead of fiddling with your settings. The ZV-1 will automatically find your face and select the proper exposure with varying light conditions, so you're not having to mess with settings all the time. And lastly, I want to mention the ZV-1 has a built-in neutral density filter and a feature called Product Showcase, and let's kind of break down what both of those are. So a neutral density filter is basically like sunglasses for your camera lens. It blocks just a little bit of a light because it's a filter, and it allows you to open up your aperture, get that soft bokeh and depth of field behind your subject, and it allows you to slow down your shutter speed so you can get a smoother cinematic look to your video. The Product Showcase mode allows for smooth focus between your face and a product that you hold in front of the camera, if you happen to be one of those people that reviews products for YouTube. Let's talk about video capabilities on the Sony ZV-1. It records in 4K at 24, 25, and 30 frames per second. You can also shoot super slow-mo in full HD, 1920 by 1080, at 120 frames per second. Now, that will give you more than enough resolution for YouTube, for Twitch, or for your Instagram Reels. Now, remember I mentioned earlier that we have a USB port on the side here. I can live stream and use my ZV-1 as a 4K webcam. I also have this micro HDMI out, which allows me to record video footage to an external monitor if that's something that you want to do. Additionally, the ZV-1 has log recording, so I can record S-Log2 and S-Log3, which give me just a little bit more dynamic range. And if you like to edit your videos, you can do color grading to your footage in post-production. Now, the ZV-1 does come with a small hot shoe windscreen. I personally, for the highest quality audio, would recommend getting a small external mic that just slides in your hot shoe and then plugs into your 3.5mm jack on the side of the ZV-1. Let's talk about the ZV-1's low light performance. It has an ISO range of 100 to 12,800, and I was pleasantly surprised with the low light performance of the ZV-1. Now remember, I said this is a 1-inch sensor, so it is not a full frame sensor. It's not going to perform as well as a full frame or an APS-C sensor. However, I was surprised with the low light performance of this camera. I took some photos at the State Fair at night this past summer, and the results were pretty darn good. The ability to open up my aperture to f1.8 or f2 or f2.8 is just a phenomenal feature for capturing video with the ZV-1. So is the ZV-1 still worth it today? I say yes. In 2025, the ZV-1 is still a great camera. Yes, there are new interchangeable lens cameras like mirrorless or a full-frame DSLR that will get you a little bit better low-light performance, maybe a few extra megapixels. However, they're going to come in a much bigger form factor and a much heftier price tag. I believe that the ZV-1 punches far above its weight class, especially as a compact camera that's ideal for creators. This is a solid choice of a camera, especially if you're looking to upgrade from your phone camera or from an older point and shoot. Now, lastly, I do want to mention that the ZV-1 Mark II was released in May of 2023. However, I much prefer the first version for a couple of reasons. The first of those reasons being the wider aperture of f2.8 versus f4 when being fully zoomed in. The ZV-1 Mark II does have the limitation of only being able to open to f4 when it is fully zoomed in. Secondly, the ability to zoom all the way into 70mm versus only 50mm on the ZV-1 Mark II. That makes a big difference for me, and that's why I personally picked the ZV-1 Mark I. Now, the ZV-1 Mark II, if you are interested in that, runs about $800 USD at the making of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the ZV-1, and I do think it is absolutely worth it for content creators, vloggers, photographers on a budget in 2025. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel for more gear reviews, and until next time, get out and go shoot.